Hello? Hey,
Hello, good evening.
good evening. How was your day?
It was well, and yourself?
Busy, completely busy. Hi, Rafael.
Hi, hello. Hi, Ale. Hi, Joseph.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm very good. Hope
Very
you're
good.
good too.
Doing well. Thanks for asking. Thanks for checking in.
My problem is because I am mom, lawyer, housewife, and student. So all together.
Oh, wow. It's a lot.
Too much, too much. To me, it's too much. And every day I woke up like 5:30 and I go gym and then I come back home and I don't stop, no stop. After the class, I brush my teeth and go to bed because I'm very tired.
I can understand that.
Yeah. You don't have kids, no, that take care.
No,
Hi,
she's
Gabriela.
she's in the back. She's little. She's only 6.
But kids always call mommy. Mom,
True.
mom.
No, this is
All
very
the
true.
time.
She doesn't need me. That's what I say all the time. She just lives her life.
Yeah.
With her mom.
Yeah.
They don't bother me. They don't need me.
Are you guys living in Orlando or outside?
Miami is where we are.
I live in Orlando, in Kissimmee.
Okay. Yeah, I'm part
And you,
Maryland.
Rafael?
Yeah, Maryland and Florida is where we live.
I live in Winter Garden.
Ah, okay. But the teacher is in Miami, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't want to interrupt you guys. I was, enjoying that conversation. It's good that you guys get interacted.
I was trying to say something.
Yes, and you said you basically told us your schedule. You wake up, you go to the gym, and then you start working hard as a mom, as a lawyer, as a student, as a wife. You see, I was paying attention.
Everything together in the same time.
Good.
And thanks God, clients, I don't have problem. They come every day and every day. It's incredible.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is very good, yes. So I created a group, guys, on WhatsApp. Did you have a chance to look at it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. Yes.
Good. I sent you guys the PDF file for every single chapter. If you like it, you can print them out and then you make your notes right at the slides that I'm explaining. So that helps.
Oh, yeah.
And also, you guys can have each other's number. So if you need to contact, created a group study.
If we have a doubt.
That would be good.
Yeah. It's always good.
Yes.
Oh, this is great.
Good. So everybody's okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. You enjoy your night, and I know that after class you brush your teeth and you go to sleep.
Oh yeah. Oh
You know what I do? I go watch TV. I want my relaxing.
Oh no.
Relaxing time. Yeah. All right. So with no further delay, we already have our moment of sharing questions. I know Rafael Guilherme has a question, right?
Right, I sent you by the WhatsApp.
All right, ask me the question again so everybody can hear the question.
Yeah, I couldn't really understand how's the first renew works. Like it was a little confusing for me about the uh, 18 months and 24 months. I think I lost something in the class last class, so it's I'm a little bit confused about this. I know that the other license is going to be each 2 years on the same day.
Yes.
But now, the first renewal, I'm a little bit confused.
Let's put an example. You took your license in February 3rd, 2020. And we all know that we can only renew either in March 31st or September 30th.
That I think this information that I missed. Can you explain again about the March 31 and September 30?
That's the date that they set. Okay, every single license will either expire in March 31st or September 30, no matter when you take it. Okay, so in that example, I'm using February 3rd. So that's when you took your license. Okay, February 3rd, 2020. We know that you will not be able to renew your license on February 3rd because it doesn't expire on that date. It will expire either on March or September. Good? Now,
Yeah.
when do you think it will expire? In March 31st or September of which year?
I think it's September 2021.
Okay, let's put that here. September 30th, 2021.
Is that correct?
What do you guys think?
Let me try to add a little. By September 21, you have like 18 months, right, license. The next window to cancel would be March 31st, 2022. And that would be more than 2 years.
Yeah, remember
So-
that you took your license in, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
So
March 22 will be more
yeah.
than 2 years.
So yeah, I agree. You were right. Because if it was March 2002, it would be more than 24 months. So it would be too late. So the latest that we can expire the first cycle is September 30, 21.
All right.
Is that right?
Yes, it's right.
That's the, okay.
You
So
got it,
for-
Guilherme?
Yeah, I got it.
You got it
for-
right.
Yeah, for the first renew, I'm gonna renew like on this date, like only this date, or have a period to do that.
No. Remember one thing, that the expiration is on that date. You can renew before. You can do
Oh.
it up to 90 days prior to the expiration. You don't have to wait until the last moment, and I don't recommend anybody to wait until the last day, because if something happens and you can renew, especially your first renew, your license will be void. So why waiting for the last day?
Right.
Right?
Gotcha.
You said we can start the renewal 90 days before the expiration.
Yes. But
Okay.
to do your continuing education, I suggest all my students to do it right after they get the license. As soon as they have a chance, do it immediately. Why is that? Right now, we are studying a lot of laws, a lot of things related to practice, principles, basically, not practice, but more principles and laws and math. On post-license, the subjectives on post-license is more directly to experience. So it's more fun. Post-license, they will teach you how to do a job, how to present yourself to a buyer, how to present yourself to a seller, how to conduct a listing presentation, how to find buyers, how to find sellers, how to create a farming area, how to create a mission statement. So if you wait 2 years to do that, you waste 2 years of learning all those things at the beginning. You know, nobody told me when I took my license about the contents of the post license. So it took me almost 2 years to do the post license. And I realized during the post license that I could avoid a lot of things that I've done maybe wrong, or maybe I didn't do it because I didn't know. So I suggest you guys to do the post license as soon as possible, right?
That's good stuff. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, we're here. That's where we stopped. Now, we have, let me just make sure that we have everybody here. Okay, good. Now, we know that we have 3 types of relationship, and we were looking into the duties that you owe in every type of relationship. And then we saw yesterday that the first 3 you owe to all of them, okay? Now, the transaction broker and single agent, they have 2 duties in common. One is skill, care, and diligence. You don't owe that to no brokerage because you don't represent the buyer or the seller in a no brokerage relationship. But to transaction broker and single agent, you do represent them, and then you owe them skill, care, and diligence. Let's understand what skill, care, and diligence is. It's to walk an extra mile. That's basically what it is. The best way to explain is that walking an extra mile with your client. Give you an example. There's a building here on west of Collins Avenue. For you guys that doesn't know Sunny Isles, Collins Avenue is the beach, the street on the beach. So the east side of Collins Avenue is the beach and some buildings on the beach, of course. And the west side of Collins Avenue, or there are buildings also as well. So a little bit behind the first line of west side of Collins Avenue, there's a building called King David. And King David doesn't have any building in front of it building. And there are some spaces between buildings that if you have an apartment on King David, you still have an ocean view, okay? So let's assume your buyer comes to you about 2 years ago and say, you know what, Gabriela, I want to buy an apartment. I want to have an ocean view, but I don't want to pay more than $600,000. And you know that an apartment with ocean view on the beach is going to cost about $1.2, $1.5 million. And then you find this beautiful apartment with a beautiful ocean view on King David. The only thing he needs to do is cross the streets to be on the beach, but from his apartment, he still have the ocean view. Then you sell the apartment to him. 2 years later, and I'm telling you a reality, that's real story, okay? 2 years later, then comes Aurora. It's a building that was built right in front of King David. And it's so close that you get the impression that you can share sugar and coffee from one building to another. So what happened? Aurora blocked the whole view from the King David. So what happened to the view of that guy that you sold an apartment 2 years ago?
It's gone.
What happened? It's gone. It's gone. Now, of course, when you sell an apartment, you don't sell the view because the view is not on the deed. Okay? The view is not on the deed. But could you know 2 years before that Aurora was going to be built right in front of King David? Yes or no?
No.
No, you no real knowledge.
Yes, you can. Because when they start a project, they need to register the project on the city to get an approval. And that is even before you take the permits and the license to build. You just need the license, or better yet, you just need, as a developer, you need an approval from the city to build whatever you wanted to build. And that it's not done in 1 week and 1 year. That has to be done before. So 2 years before, Gabriela could know that Aurora was going to be built right in front of King David, right? Some of us, that's what I mentioned to you guys yesterday, that we have a hard time to gain trust But some agents, when they see the possibility of making money, they get greedy. Well, $650,000, let's put it $600,000, 3% will give me $18,000 commission, right? So I wanted that money. So and then we don't go an extra mile to find out what's gonna happen down the road that would take away the view, which was the most important thing for this buyer. This is part of this Q, can, and diligent. Another example, let's say someone come to you and say, Orlando, I want to buy a house in a very quiet neighborhood because I'm going to retire. And my retirement plan is to write a book. I always wanted to write a book, but I never had the time because I was busy working. And now I want a house in a very quiet neighborhood. And then you find him a house in a very quiet neighborhood. And then guess what? A year later comes a railroad. The city is building a railroad. There goes the piece. Could you know that before? Yes, because they don't decide to build the railroad in a blink of an eye, right? So it has to be planned, it has to be registered, it has to be approved, it has to be a lot of things that takes time. So that's what Q, can, and diligent means. Now, present all offers is when you have a listing, okay? You're representing a seller. And someone calls you and give you a ridiculous offer, verbal, over the phone, and you decided not to present it to the seller because you think the offer is very low and it's not serious because it's an oral offer, it's not even in writing. So is that correct? Can you do that?
You should always tell them about the offer, correct?
You should present all offers, even the verbal offers.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever offers that comes to you in whatever form, you should present to the seller and let the seller make a decision either to don't counter offer. Sometimes they just say, no, I don't want that offer. And then you send it back, say your offer was respectfully rejected. That means that the seller thought the offer was so low that he doesn't even want to counter offer. But again, we don't have a power of attorney. We have no power to make a decision for no one. So that's why I told you guys before that our job is to facilitate a transaction. So if anything comes to me related to a listing that I have, I need to present that to the seller and let the seller make a decision. If the seller needs my opinion, if the seller needs a little bit of education about whatever I'm bringing to him, then I can participate on that, but never make a decision, okay? So this is what it means. Present all offers and counter offer. Remember that the guy was asking me that if the seller could reduce $200, that is not based on this, but it's relative, right? Now, there is an exception for you not to present all offers. And this exception is when the seller instructed you not to present any offer below whatever amount. Let's say the seller is listing a property for $500,000 and he tells me, Orlando, don't even bother to send me any offer below 420. Okay? And what do? If an offer for 410 comes to me?
You say, hey, this offer has come in. I know you instructed me about this number, but I'm just letting you know that this offer has come in, and I'll let you tell me what you'd like me to do.
Well, actually, because he instructed you not to present any offer below 420, you don't have to show the offer or discuss with him the offer.
Okay.
But you need to do one thing to protect yourself. I always say in my classes or even on my training with the agents that in this business, we have two important things to do. Number one is protect your license. Number two, protect the broker's license. And number three, make money and then do it again.
Right.
Okay? Now, I said that once in in a class and someone said, oh, but you have to protect your buyers and sellers. Well, if I'm protecting my license, I'm protecting them.
Exactly.
Because I'm not doing anything wrong, because I'm protecting my license, right?
Yeah.
So what can I do to protect myself when the seller gives me the instructor like that? I'm going to tell him to send me in writing.
Right.
Why? Because if in the future my relationship with the sellers goes south and he wants to break our relationship or don't pay me a commission or whatever it is, he's going to try to find something that I did wrong to blame me for that. So if I don't have it in writing, he can come and say, you know what, you got an offer for 410 and you never present them to me. You broke the law. And then what am I going to say? Oh, you told me not to. Can you prove it? Remember, when anything, and you, Alexander, being an attorney, you know that. If you have no proof, you have no case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
What is written is written. That's it.
That's right. So if the seller instructs you about anything, you ask them to send it to you in writing. Okay? So that way you keep that in file. It could be through email, no problem.
Email, yeah.
File. If anything goes wrong in the future, you have a proof. Now,
Oh, yeah.
once I'm telling you this, let me tell something that's going to come very soon. We are obligated to keep a written files for 5 years. Okay, so we have to keep the files for 5 years, which means that the client, buyers or sellers, they have 5 years to go back and file any claim. After 5 years, they can't do anything anymore. Okay, but we need to keep the file for 5 years. And what you need to remember is who says that. It's a statute of limitation. To help you guys remember, this time it's limiting the time for you to keep the file, right? So if it's limiting the time, what is the status name? Status of limitation. Good. And the most important for your test is that if in an auto document, you have to keep for 4 years. Don't even try to ask me how you're going to keep an auto contract or auto agreement, because until today, I don't know. Okay? But the statute of limitation says any document in writing must be kept for how long? 5 years. And if it's auto or parole,
5
4
years.
Okay, now remember this word, because sometimes they're not going to use the word auto. They might use parole. Parole is the same thing as auto. Okay? Auto or parole, you keep for 4 years.
Parole de parole.
É, escreve parole mesmo, né?
Parole in italiano.
Yeah. Ele parla italiano.
Io parlo.
Oh, che lindo. Dove posso trovare un ristorante qui vicino? Ah.
Yeah.
I used to say that I speak 3 languages and I fake another 7. So Italian is one of the languages that I fake.
I love to speak Italian. It's beautiful.
Now, we're going to talk about these 2 other duties that it's only for transaction broker and only for single agents. And now we need to know the difference between them. Okay? A single agent owns confidentiality, obedience, loyalty, and disclosure, full disclosure. Confidentiality is for life, meaning that anything, let's use an example of a seller, okay? Anything that a seller tells you, you cannot disclose to anybody even after you close the transaction, okay? Obedience means whatever he tells you to do, you must do it. But what if we need to understand our limitations, right? If someone tells you jump off the bridge, you're not going to do that, right? So obedience has its limitation. What if the seller tells you to do something that is illegal? What do? You do 2 things you do. What is the first thing you're going to do? Let's think together. Because this is also to understand. He tells you to do something that is illegal. What do you do?
Oh, you just say to him, I cannot do that because it's illegal.
And what is the second thing that you're going to do if he says, I still want you to do it?
You leave the contract. You don't work to him.
Withdraw the relationship.
Yeah.
Right? You
Right.
withdraw the relationship. Now, let me ask you another question that could be related to your test. What if he tells you to do something that you know will cause harm to the seller? What do you do?
You don't do. You keep
Do you
telling
guys
them
understand the
him-
question?
Cause what, Alindo?
If the seller tells you something that will cause harm to the seller,
Harm to themselves.
harm to the seller, yeah, to himself, not to you. You
Can
know
you
that it's
spell
going to cause harm to the seller. What would you do? Do you know what harm is?
No. Can you spell harm?
Harm is vai causar prejuízo,
Uh-huh.
ok?
It's the same as a loss.
Pode ser, entendeu? Vai causar prejuízo para o seller. Ele está te pedindo para você fazer uma coisa que vai causar prejuízo para o seller. So what do?
You don't do. You don't do.
Well, this is what you have to do. Number one, you have to tell the seller that what he's asking you to do will cause him harm, and you explain him what harm is he going to cause. Okay?
Okay.
The second thing you do could be do it, but if you do it, you get it in writing.
Yeah.
That you explain the seller what you're asking me will cause you this, such harm. And then you have him to reply to you that he's aware of that, but he still wants you to do it. Then you can either do it or withdraw from the contract. But remember one thing, this is not, guys, for your test. Remember that this is a real estate exam. We're going to be talking about things that is related to your test, and we're going to be talking about things that is related to the business itself. Because the only way to understand this thing is if you understand the business. So this is an information for your business. Get everything in writing, okay? Get everything in writing. If you have a listing for $500,000 and then you talk to the seller and say, Mr. Seller, we have this property listed for 4 weeks for $500,000 and you have no showing request. When we have a property listed for 4 weeks and we got no showing request, that's the market talking to us, telling us that is overpriced. Mr. Seller suggests you to lower the price. All right, Orlando, lower for 480. So what do I do? He's telling me, Orlando, lower the price for 480,000 from 500 to 480. What do I do?
Change the price of the listing.
Get it in writing.
Yeah, get it in writing, email.
Get it in writing. All right. This is how you do the first of the 3 things you do. Protect your license. Okay. Get it in writing. After you get it in writing, then you lower the price from 500 to 480. All right.
Quick question. Do you think it's okay to do like a communication, like as we discussed over the phone, I'm doing like you said, and I'm lowering the price?
That's good.
Could be, yes. As long as he replies, say, I agree.
Okay.
It cannot be a communication from you to him. It's more important, his communication to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay?
Clear.
Anything that you tell him, then you ask him to reply with the okay.
Okay. And one more question. Sorry for going back, but can you please explain a little about the differences between the transaction broker and the single agent broker?
That's where I am right now.
Okay, thank you.
Still didn't say the difference. Okay?
Oh, okay, thank you.
Now,
confidentiality. It was too late yesterday. I was sleepy.
Then get a cup of coffee or Red Bull and keep it next to you. Okay? So don't fall asleep. Having a full confidentiality in a relationship it's not so bad. You know, you're not gonna start talking about other people's business. Obedience, it's not so bad as long as I don't have to do anything illegal or kill myself. It's not so bad. But when it comes to loyalty, now we talk about marriage, right? And marriage is complicated because you see someone that you like it and you are married. Can you go out with that person? Technically, no. Before you guys answer anything, you know, technically, no. You cannot go out with that person because you owe to your spouse what?
Loyalty.
Loyalty. You owe loyalty to your spouse. That's why I call single agent relationship a marriage. Why is this bad? Now, the dream of every agent that has a listing is to find the buyer himself. Why is that? Joseph, you know, tell me.
It's funny, as you look at that, I was just thinking about something kind of related to this on something separate. But if they don't have an agent, then you can handle the whole transaction by yourself.
And what is the benefit of it?
Oh, that means that the listing agreement that you have signed for 6%, which you would be splitting in half with the buyer's agent, can all come with you.
Good. That's the answer. When I charge to my seller 6% and I list the property, if another agent brings the buyer, I'm going to share my 6% with the buyer's agent. Follow me? That's normal procedure. That's why it's good also to work with the buyers, because you're still going to get your commission, even though the buyer is not going to pay you, but the seller is going to give you half of the commission. Now, going back, what is the benefit when we represented the seller and you bring the buyer is that you don't have to split your commission to nobody. So you keep the whole 6% for yourself. And that's a dream deal. For every agent, it's a dream deal, because one deal will represent it like two deals, two transactions. You follow me? Now, I'm telling you the first disadvantage. I will tell you some more. The first disadvantage is that if I'm representing a seller on a single agent relationship, I cannot bring a buyer. You got it?
No.
I cannot bring a buyer because I will be breaking the duty of loyalty. I cannot represent a buyer and a seller on a single agency relationship. Okay? Now let's understand that a relationship between buyer and seller is called arm's length relationship. Okay? Arm's length relationship. The best way to explain what arm's length relationship is thinking about the game, the basketball game between LA and Miami Heat. Did you guys watch the game? You are into the games? I'm not, but I just know that happened.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that Miami Heat wants to lose or win?
I think they want to win.
How about LA? Do you think that LA wants to win or lose?
They want to win.
Wow, but only one can win, right?
Correct.
That's our arm's length relationship. Why buyers and sellers are in an arm's length relationship? Because the buyer wants the lowest price possible, while the seller wants the highest price possible. And only one can win unless we can meet in the middle. You understand that? You understand?
Yes.
Good. Do like this so I can see your head moving. Amazing, amazing. Look, one thing that I tell my student is this. I'm always looking at you guys, always. And if I see that your expression means you don't get it, I will repeat it. So I understand that when I explain you something, you look at me and say, It means you're not getting it. So when I explain you again and you finally get it, please change your expression so I understand you got it and I won't have to repeat it. If you do this,
Cara de paisagem.
that expression is telling me you didn't get it, so I'm not going to wait for you to tell me to repeat. I'm going to repeat because my intention is for you to understand. But when you do it, change your expression. Say, okay, let's work with our expressions, okay? We're good.
Mhm.
Now, someone said that they didn't understand about the arm's length relationship. Now you got it, right? Good. So if you are to be loyal to your seller, how can you fight for the best price for your buyer if you are fighting for the best price for your seller? Understand that? That's what loyalty means. And that's the reason why.
Arlindo,
Yes.
can we understand loyalty as exclusivity?
Could be.
Could be.
Yeah. But
Is exclusivity for the seller.
fidelidade também pode ser usado. Entendeu?
Hmm.
Loyalty. Because
Okay.
you own loyalty to your seller. Meaning you can now work with the seller and the buyer at the same time because you cannot be loyal to both because they are in a arm's length relationship. Okay? So how can you be loyal to both if they are fighting for different things? Okay? So that's the reason why you can't. And now I'm asking you, guys, do you want to be on a single agent relationship? Answer me that question, please. Do you guys want to be on a single agent relationship with your seller? Yes or no?
Yes.
It's okay.
I mean, maybe perhaps it'd be easier to be transaction broker, but
Yeah, but once we didn't get to that part, so the answer will be no. I don't want to be in a single agent relationship with a seller because the first thing is that I cannot bring a buyer. So I will never be able to earn the full commission. I will have to split my commission no matter what.
well, question about this. If you're in a single agent transaction with your seller and a buyer comes from the marketing and they don't have an agent, can you still transact it with them as?
No, I will tell you what you have to do, okay? It's a good question and we're gonna get there, okay? Now, let me tell you another bad aspect of being a single agent, okay? And this is something that a lot of agents, they don't looking at. I have agents in my office that they send me a listing agreement, either for me to review or for me to make changes on it. And it was a single agent relationship, was a listing agreement, putting my agent in a single agent relationship. And I asked him, did the seller ask you to be on a single agent? He said, no. So why are you doing this? Because he doesn't know. And he's been in business for 12 years. Can you believe that you have been in a business 12 years and you don't know why you should not using a single agent? So there's a lot of people out there that the fact that they've been in the business for many years doesn't mean that they know what they're doing. And that's what we need to avoid, to follow or learn from other people that we don't know if they know the business or not. They might not know the business and we follow something wrong. Now, let's put it on this aspect here, okay? I'm the broker. All of you guys work for me. Guilherme, which is the first one on my list here, signed a contract, a listing agreement with a seller on a single agent relationship. Now remember, I'm the agent. I'm the one who's being hired, not Guilherme. Actually, not Guilherme, Rafael, but I'll let you use Guilherme. Let's continue Guilherme. I am the one who's being hired. So who is the agent here? Me or Guilherme?
You.
I am the agent. Guilherme is the sub-agent. So, which means that everybody that works under me owns the same duties. If the duties of single agents is loyalty, all of you owns loyalty to the same seller, which is actually Guilherme's client. Now, what is bad about this? Let's say Rafael finds a buyer. Can Rafael bring the buyer to this transaction? Remember, it's not Guilherme, it's Rafael, two different persons, two different agents. Can Rafael bring the buyer? Yes or no? You can say, I don't know, so I won't be waiting for too long.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm waiting for you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for participating. Who else is going to say, I don't know?
I
Me.
was working with my express.
Your expression says nothing because now it's about an answer. Okay, no. Rafael cannot bring a buyer because Rafael is my sub-agent, exactly like Guilherme is my sub-agent. Both of you owns the same duty of loyalty to the seller. Now you see how things get complicated. It's not only me or Guilherme cannot bring a buyer. Nobody under Guilherme's firm will be able to bring a buyer. That will reduce the amount of agents that can bring a buyer. Now, think about it. How many agents will really looking into a listing and see that that listing belongs to the same company and they are in a single agent relationship with the seller, which means you cannot bring a buyer. Nobody looks into that, right? Now, let me ask you something. Honestly, how many of you here in this class have ever heard about single agent relationship?
Never.
Never. So which means the majority of the public out there, they don't know about it.
They don't know. They have no idea.
So we don't offer that type of relationship. Only if they request. And the only people that will request is the people who knows about it. Like people with money, a lot of assets, and you're going to be you're going to know about the assets, and he wants to make sure that you are going to represent him and you're going to be faithful to him and you're going to be looking to best interest of your seller. Those are the only one who's going to ask to be in a single agent relationship.
And that's why I was asking you that question that I was asking, because at the higher price points, people don't use buyer's agents, or at least in markets that I've worked before, they tend to go directly to the listing agent themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're requesting a single agent agreement, man, I guess they're just essentially saying that we understand the system and we don't want you on both sides.
I will explain to you this right now as soon as I finish with the transaction broker. Okay. Now, you guys understand what single agent is?
Yes.
Yes. Do you want to be on a single agent?
Not at all.
No, not at all, because you won't be able to bring a buyer and nobody from your company will be able to bring a buyer. Good.
How common is that? Is that common in the market to have that relationship?
No, not common at all.
Okay.
No.
By default, if you don't give your buyer or seller any disclosure about being a single agent, by default, you are a transaction broker. That's the default relationship. If a buyer calls you and you're just writing a contract, you are on a transaction broker. If a seller calls you and you use the transaction broker listing agreement, you are on a transaction broker.
Okay.
So in general, we are all in a transaction broker unless it's being required and you use specific forms for a single agent relationship. If you don't use any specific forms, you are automatically on a transaction broker. And the transaction broker owns two duties. One is as agreed. As agreed means the way you agree to the seller, how you're going to work with him. And the other one is called limited confidentiality or limited representation. And I want you to remember these two words: limited confidentiality or limited representation. That means that your representation to the seller is limited, meaning you don't have full confidentiality, you don't have obedience, you don't have loyalty, and you don't have full disclosure. You have a limited confidentiality. And I want you to understand what limited confidentiality means for your life, because there's a lot of agents out there that they don't know about it. Limited confidentiality means that you cannot disclose three things. Number one is price. You can never disclose price. If you're representing a seller, you can never disclose the price with the buyer. What price we're talking about? We're not talking about the listing price, because the listing price is public. Everybody sees, and they must know how much the seller is asking for the house. What we're talking about here is that the seller told you, Orlando, if I got $420,000 in that property, I'm gonna sell it, but I'm gonna list for $500,000. And then an agent calls me who is unaware of this rule, and it happens, my friends, happens every day. Every day it happens. We got agents that's supposed to know this, calling me and say, Orlando, what is the minimum that your seller will accept it? Just to avoid this back and forth, offer and counter offer, offer, counter offer, just tell me how much is the minimum, and then we make the offer.
Oh my gosh.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that because I'm stealing the opportunity from the seller to get the best price possible. 420 is the minimum. He could get 450, right?
Yeah.
If you go to on this negotiation part of the deal, we can get 450, 460. If I tell 420,
And there are buyers, they don't complain. They see the price and they pay in full.
well, no, most of the time, not that happen.
Yeah, but there are.
Yeah, buyers wants to fight for the price, lowest price possible. We have sometimes we have a contract that goes back and forth with 4 or 5 counter offers. Yeah, so we're fighting like as I said before, the seller will always fight for the highest price possible, and the buyer will always fight for the lowest price possible until we have something that we call meeting of the mind. Meeting of the mind means seller and buyer agrees to price, terms, and conditions of the contract. Now we have a contract, meeting of the mind. Okay, so going back, 3 things we cannot disclose on a limited confidentiality. Number 1 is price. You can never disclose price. Let them fight and see what it will be the final price to sell this property. Number 2 is terms. Example about terms. Let's say the seller tells you like this, Orlando, I want a $500,000 property, but if anybody comes with $300,000 and they can't get approved on a lender, I will finance 200. Right? I cannot disclose. I cannot go to the buyer and say, look, you couldn't be approved for a loan. Then put an offer that you put $300,000 down and you finance the other 200. Can't say that. If the buyer wants to finance, then he can send me an offer with the conditions, and then I will present to the seller. If the seller accepted, then that's what we're going to do. But we cannot disclose terms. And the third one is the one that everybody breaks. Everybody breaks. Joseph, you work on a real estate firm, right? So you're going to realize that everybody breaks this third limitation. We can never disclose motivation. And everybody puts on the MLS, seller is motivated to sell. Everybody does that. Seller is motivated, seller is motivated, seller is motivated. If you don't have in writing to protect your license that the seller told you, Orlando, please disclose that I'm motivated to sell, I cannot put that on the MLS, and I cannot disclose it to the agent on the other line that the seller is motivated to sell. Okay? So limited confidentiality means that we cannot disclose price, terms, and motivation. Okay. Now, going back to Joseph question. Let's say I'm representing John Smith on a single agent relationship because if we're required to be on a single agent, even though I tried to take him out of this idea, I was not able to, and we end up signing a contract of single agent. Now a buyer calls me. A buyer saw the property on the internet, found my number, and he calls me. I say, hey, Orlando, I found your listing on Zillow, and I like more information about the property, and I'd like to see the property. Can I tell the buyer anything? Yes or no? Can I tell the buyer anything?
If you are in the listing,
I'm the listing agent on a single agent relationship. Then a buyer calls me and say, Orlando, I like some information about the property and I'd like to see this property. And I don't have a representation. I want you to represent me as a buyer. Can I tell the buyer anything?
no.
No,
No.
never. I cannot tell the buyer anything. But I will tell you what I'm going to tell the buyer. Say, Mr. Buyer, it was nice meeting you. Look, I'm in a meeting right now, but give me 1 hour and I call you back. Is that okay with you, Mr. Buyer? Yes, thank you. Did I tell him anything about the property?
No.
Did I break my confidentiality agreement with the seller?
No.
No. Now, I'm going to get a paper that is called Consent to Transition to Transaction Broker. Okay, let's go again. Consent. You all know what consent means, right?
Consent, yes.
I'm allowing. Consent means I'm allowing. Consent to transition, meaning go from one place to another, transition, to transaction broker. So meaning I'm allowing you to go from single agent to transaction broker. We good? What is it called again? Anyone?
Consenting
Consent.
to transaction,
To transition
to transition to
To
transaction broker.
transaction broker.
That's
That's
a
what
bad
But you
name, by the
send
way.
this to the seller.
I'm going to give it to the seller. But understand one thing, that this document must be in writing and signed by the seller. It must be in writing and signed by the seller.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way to protect yourself. If you don't have it, you are,
Arlindo, I have a question.
yes.
If the seller don't sign this consenting to transactions, how the seller is going to get a buyer? How?
Well, let me finish then my example, okay?
Okay.
I'm in the middle of the example. When I finish, you will understand. Maybe he won't
Okay.
sign. So I'm going to get this paper, which is called Consent to Transition to Transaction Broker. I'm going to fill it up and I'm going to put it in my pocket. And I'm going to go run to the seller's house. And I'm going to get a conversation with the seller. Mr. Seller, how are you doing? Good, good, thank you. Mr. Seller, the reason of my visit is because I want to ask you one very specific question. Do you really want to sell your property? Oh, and of course, that's why I listed with you. But when do you want to sell it? Do you want to sell it now or do you want to sell it 6 months from now? Oh, I want to sell it now as soon as possible. All right, good. You're really sure that you want to sell it now, right? Yes. The reason of my question is that because a buyer just called me and he wants to see the property. And he's going to tell me, oh, Orlando, bring the buyer. You want to see the property, bring the buyer. But I can't. Why not? Because I'm on a single agent relationship with you. I cannot bring a buyer. Oh, then what do we do? Say, sign this. It's already ready on my pocket. Sign here. What is this? Consent to transition to transaction, meaning we're going to get out of this single agent relationship. We're going to go into transaction broker, and I'll bring the buyer this afternoon. How about 4 o'clock? Good. And I call the buyer and say, Mr. Buyer, the house is available. It's beautiful. No roof, no pool, clean water. How about 4 o'clock this afternoon to see the house? Is that okay with you? That's what I do.
Mm.
Okay. Joseph, your question is answered.
Yep.
Good. I have to be on a, I have to get this document signed. Go from a single agent to a transaction broker, and now I can bring the buyer.
Now you can make the buy.
Now, this is a document, this is a disclosure that is only used for residential property. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Disclosure that is only used for residential property. All right, good. Now, if I have an agreement with the buyer as a no brokerage relationship, then I can bring the buyer without having this consent to transition to transaction broker, because I'm not representing the buyer. Okay? Understand that?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm on a no brokerage relationship. I'm not gonna fight for the buyer. I'm fighting for the seller. And the only thing I'm gonna do is prepare the contract and give it to the buyer. The buyer will sign, and I will present it to the seller. And I will have no conversation with the buyer whatsoever about the pricing, about anything. And I'm not gonna fight for the buyer because I don't represent the buyer. I only represent the seller. I'm on a no brokerage relationship, so I mean I don't have any relationship with the buyer. We good?
Uh-huh.
All right, so let's continue then. We already know what non-brokerage relationship is. We already know what a single agent means. And let me tell you one thing. When you call your client or your customer a principal, that tells everybody that you are in a single agent relationship with that person. You don't call a principal anyone that you are a no brokerage or a transaction broker. You don't call them a principal. If they call them a principal, means that they are in a single agent relationship. We good?
Uh-huh.
Let's say you got a phone call, you have a listing, and you got a phone call, and the person tells you, "Hey, Arlindo, how are you? I'm here with my principal in front of your house, your listing, and I'd like to schedule an appointment to show it." What type of relationship is this guy with the buyer?
Single agents,
Why?
because he's principal.
Because he referred his buyer as his principal, right?
Principal. Yeah.
Now, dual agency. What is a dual agency? It's when you are in a single agent relationship and you're representing a buyer. That's illegal. Okay? That's illegal. And it's called dual agency. And I wanted this to be clear to you guys so you don't be confused. Dual agency is only if you are on a single agent relationship with one of the party on the transaction. Okay? If you are on a single in the transaction broker with the buyer and with the seller, that has no name. If you want a name, it's lucky you. That's the name. Okay? Because you represent the buyer, represent the seller, and you're gonna make the commission on both sides. Lucky you. That's not called dual agency because it's not illegal to represent buyer and seller on a transaction broker. What is illegal if you are in a single agent with one of them. And if you are, it's called what again?
Dual agency.
The dual agency is?
Illegal.
Illegal. Any questions? Okay, good. Now we have this duties that we saw. Transaction broker relationship is presumed, like I said, by default. If you don't give you any documents, you will be on a transaction broker with your buyer or with your seller. We already saw this, limited confidentiality. I already told you about it. And even here says what you cannot disclosure. Okay, 1 and 2 is basically the same thing, but one for buy and the other one for sell. Guys, give me 1 second. All right, back. All right, good. The next one. Question: which broker relationship require these three duties? Remember, we have three brokerage relationship: no brokerage, transaction broker, and single agent. Which one of those require these three duties? Tell me. I don't know works.
All relations, all
All
three.
of them.
All of them. You
Yeah.
have to be accountable for all funds. You have to deal with honesty and fairly. And you have to disclose all known facts that affect the value of the property. So you owe this for all of them.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Now, which brokerage relationship code? It's a way to help you guys remember. Code. What code stand for?
Code.
Confidentiality, obedience, loyalty,
Loyalty.
and full disclosure.
Single agent.
Code. Don't call marriage code. Huh? Your spouse is going to be upset with you. Because that's basically what it is, you know. That's a little bit code. You got confidentiality, you got obedience,
Frozen.
loyalty, and you got disclosure. That's to help you to understand what is the duties of a single agent relationship. Which brokerage relationship uses skill, care, and diligence, present all offers and counter offers, exercise limited confidentiality, and perform additional duties agreed to? Those four things are for which relationship?
That's a transaction, right?
Transaction broken relationship.
Transaction broker. And what tells me is the limited confidentiality, right?
Yeah.
Limited confidentiality.
That is the key word.
Now, written disclosure required in a residential cell. So when it says required in a residential cell, only for residential transactions. Non-residential transactions, those disclosure does not apply. And that is already the third time I said, okay? Because I'm gonna say it about 10 times and you're gonna forget it. And I'll prove that to you. Now, let's put something here so we can make it clear. What is considered a residential transaction? And this is important for your test and important for your life. Because if you don't know if it's a residential or non-residential, what contract you're gonna fill out? Because there are contracts they are specific for residential properties, and there are contracts that is for non-residential property. So if you don't know which one is residential and which one is non-residential, how are you gonna use it? Let me tell you a tip for you to remember. It's called 4-4-10. Okay? Residential transaction is 4-4-10. Now get your piece of paper and write it down what 4-4-10 means. All right, the first 4 is for 4 units or less. Meaning you see a property and this property has 4 units or less. That is considered to be residential. Okay, what is a 4 units or less? It's multifamily. It's a one building. It's only one building. And meaning it has only one portfolio number. It's not 4 apartments, okay? And those apartments cannot be owned individually. There's only one owner for the whole building. And this owner cannot sell those apartments separately because there is only one portfolio on the county. So the property is registered as one property with 4 units. Okay? So if it's
Okay.
4 units or less, that is considered to be residential.
Residential.
Okay, the other 4 is for a vacant land or unimproved land. Let's say you go to a place and it's a land. If you go to a place and there's a building and you can count 1, 2, 3 units. Oh, okay, it's 3 units, then it's residential. But if you go to a place that is a lot, how are you going to count how many units are there? There's no improvements on the land. It's a vacant land. How can you tell that that land is residential or not residential? You look into the zoning.
The zone.
The zoning. Okay? The zoning for that area will specifically say that what is the maximum units that can be built in that land. If the maximum unit is 4, then you know that that piece of land is considered to be residential. Okay?
Okay.
If the zoning says that is to be built 4 units maximum, then you know that it's a residential. What is 10? 10 is a agricultural lot. So a large tract of land with 10 acres or less. If it's 10 acres or less, then it's also considered to be residential. Okay? Now,
Okay.
we are not going to be working with agriculture. I don't think so. Then the last one is only for your test. Okay? But it is what it is. If it's 10 acres or less, it's considered to be residential. We good?
Yes.
In the clear. Now we know it's right here. Look, if you want to take a picture, but you already have this presentation on the chat, and I send it to you. Improve the residential property of 4 or fewer units. Unimproved residential property intended for 4 units or fewer, and agriculture property of 10 acres or less. Okay? These are considered to be residential, and if it's residential, then require a disclosure. If it's a non-residential, doesn't require a disclosure. And I said that already for 5 times. All right, continue. Oops, that didn't clean up. Now, disclosure does not require for non-residential, says 6 times, lease, auctions, appraisals, or business opportunities. Those transactions does not require a disclosure. We already saw this. All right. A sales associate, Amy, works for XYZ Realty. Amy leased a house and established a single agent relationship with the seller. A buyer contacts Amy and wants to view the property. What relationship may Amy have with this buyer?
None.
I said something else.
Because she is representing a single agent to the seller.
Yes, but I said something else, didn't I?
Yeah. She can go to the seller and ask the seller if he want to sign the.
No, but this is not the question. The question is what type of relationship may Amy have with the buyer? And I mentioned that.
No brokerage.
No brokerage. Very good. If I'm in a non-brokerage, then I don't have any relationship with the buyer. Then I can still be on a single agent. Now, if the question was asking me, what can I do to represent the buyer? What type of disclosure should I present to the seller? Then the answer would be consent to transition to transaction broker. But the question is, what type of relationship can I be with the buyer? And the relationship will be no brokerage relationship.
Okay.
Okay, I mentioned that before. Keep that in mind because it could be in your test. Now, Broker Brown is work with the buyer Jones as a transaction broker. Broker Brown has also listed a property that the buyer Jones is considering purchasing. If a buyer Jones is going to buy this property, what relationship can Broker Brown have with the owner of the listed property?
Single agent?
No, because
No.
he is
No
on the
brokerage.
transaction broker.
No brokerage.
No, he's gonna be either. Yeah. Transaction broker with transaction broker or no brokerage. Okay? Transaction broker is okay. Transaction broker and no brokerage is okay. Okay? Raphael, you either look tired or lost.
No, I'm trying to read it.
Okay, do you understand?
Yeah, I think so.
Guilherme, do you understand?
Yes.
All right, good. So guys, the
Yeah,
time
I got
to
it.
ask a question. Gabriela, you also look either tired or lost with that pain in your mouth.
No, I just have people working in the kitchen, so
Oh, okay. But you got it, right?
yeah.
You see, I'm watching you guys. And the time to ask a question is during the presentation of every slide. All right? If you leave it for later, you know what's going to happen? You're going to forget the question and you're never going to ask it again. All right?
Right.
Good. Let's continue. Exception to disclosure requirement, the license knows that a single agent or relation, transaction broker represented buyer or seller. Bona fide open house. You don't need a disclosure to an open house. To anticipated casual encounters. You don't need a disclosure. Recording to general questions, responding to general questions or advertised property. You're not going to ask them any type, you're not going to give them any type of disclosure. Okay? Now, this is what I told you before, is that you can go from single agents to a transaction broker by having the seller sign a disclosure called consent to transition to transaction broker. We good? Guys, I know it's no terminology, but if you understand it word by word, there's some terminology, I'm not gonna lie to you, there's some terminology in the future that there's no way to understand it much. You just have to accept it. Like a nolo contendere, it's a Latin word.
Yeah.
And we already been through that, and you guys already know. So the fact that it's a new word doesn't mean impossible to understand or to remember in the future, okay? So how many of you heard the name Orlando before?
Never.
Only a few, right? But now you already know my name. You don't have to understand. It's good. So, but in this case here, if you look word by word, you can say that the consent is actually a permission, right? Permission. And to transaction means to go from, the word single agent is not here because it doesn't need to, okay? Consent means permission. To transaction means to go from single agents to a transaction broker, right? It's a new terminology, but not difficult to remember in the future. All right, sales associate Yvette and Zach work for Extra Fine Realty. Yvette has just listed the house and whatever address as a single agent for the seller. Zach is a single agent for the buyer. If buyer wants to view the house, how can this legally happen? You understand? It's like this. Going again, you guys work for me. I'm the broker, and you all work for me. Raphael listed the property as a single agent, and Guilherme has a buyer, and he's also on a single agent. How can this happen legally?
Both are working under the extra
Same
5
broker.
years.
Yes. How can this legally happen?
I think it can't, as we work for the same broker.
Yes, you can. And we learn about that. And I just highlighted the words. You just give to the seller and you just give to the buyer a disclosure called consent to transaction broker. Then Rafael is going to go with the seller to a transaction broker and Guilherme is going to go with the buyer as a transaction broker. That's the only way that it can be legally happen. Okay?
Got it.
Both of you must give to both of your clients, buyers and sellers, the same disclosure, and both of them must sign. Okay. Signature line inserted to follow disclosure. We need to have a disclosure. We need to have it signed. That's the same thing. Now, recording, keeping, and retention. Remember that I already told you before. We must retain the files for 5 years. And who says that again? I'm going to give a candy to whoever says it first. Who says that I have to keep the file for 5 years?
5 years?
Yeah. No. Don't tell me that you don't remember because you were here 5 minutes ago when I was telling you this. 5 minutes ago.
EPPR.
We're getting close. At least someone is saying something.
DRE.
At least someone is saying something. Don't be afraid to say something wrong. The statute of limitation. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's it. You see? You don't remember. But I told you, didn't I?
Yeah.
I did tell you, right? Who tells us to keep the file for 5 years? I just said it.
Statute of limitation.
Statute of limitation. What if it's an oro or parole? For how many years do you have to keep it?
4 years.
4 years.
4.
4.
All right. Now, I already said 6 times. I'm going to say another 3 times. So remember that disclosures are only required for residential transactions, right?
Yes.
Remember that I said that?
Yes.
And meaning that consent to transition to transaction also being a disclosure. And we said that disclosure are for residential property only. Now, let me give you an example now. Now it's a different example. I was contacted by a seller and he tells me, Orlando, I have a 25-story building that I wanted to sell for $15 million. Follow my example, right? That I want to sell it for $15 million. And I wanted to be on a single agent relationship with you. Well, I'm not even trying to argue with him. $15 million.
Yeah.
Wanted that listing, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, we all wanted that listing. So I signed the listing. $15 million, single agency relationship. All right, a week later, I receive a phone call from a buyer. And the buyer tells me, Orlando, I saw your listing for a building with a 25-story building. And I want to purchase that, the building, and I want to be on a single agency relationship with you. So I'm already in a single agent relationship with the seller. Now the buyer wants to be on a single agent relationship with me. So what can I give it to the seller to make this transaction legal?
You need to become a transactional broker.
But what document do I have to give to the buyer, to the seller?
Consent of transaction broker.
Who else agreed to Guilherme? No
Walter.
means yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Good. Rafael, do you agree to Guilherme?
Yes.
Joseph, you were the one you're the first one who talked. Do you agree to Guilherme?
I do.
Yes. All right. What did I tell you about 2 minutes ago? That I was going to tell you something 10 times and you were going to forget it. And I said I was going to prove it. And you just forgot it. And I prove it. I told you that disclosure are only for residential
Oh
transactions.
yeah.
And we are
yeah.
talking about a 25-story building, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
non-residential.
Oh yeah.
Short memory. It's like a Dory, right? Dory from Finding Nemo.
Yes.
Suffer from short-term memory.
Yes.
All right, so I cannot give to the seller or the buyer a consent to transition to transaction broker because this disclosure only for residential. And this is a non-residential property. So I cannot use it. Okay? We good? Now,
So
we
since you
know.
cannot use this,
Yes,
since you
that's where
cannot
I'm
use,
going.
okay.
That's exactly where I'm going.
Sorry.
Now we know what we cannot use. Now we need to learn then what can we use. Okay? Now, in order for this to work, three things must happen. Okay? If you want to, write it down. That's going to help you. Three things must happen. We already know that this is a non-residential. Okay? It has to be a non-residential or a commercial property. Both buyer and seller must request to be on a single agent relationship. Third, both buyer and seller must have at least $1 million in assets. Okay? You gotta know what assets is, patrimônio. Okay? Good.
1 million.
In assets. So for this thing to happen, what I'm just about to explain to you, for this thing to happen, we're gonna have three things happening. Be a commercial or non-residential. Both buyer and sellers requested to be on a single agent relationship. And both buyer and seller must have at least $1 million in assets. Then I'm gonna use what it's called designated sales associate. Now, I should end here. There's no need to go any further. But I want you guys to understand what that is. So I'm gonna go further just to make sure you guys understand what this is. It's called designated sales associate. Now remember, I'm the broker. The seller contacted me. He wants to be on a single agent. It's a commercial property, and he does have $1 million. Just the property itself is 15 million. The buyer contacted me. It's a commercial property, and the buyer wants to be on a single agent relationship, and it's a $15 million. We know for sure that he's gonna have at least $4.5 million, which is 30% of the sales price. Now, here's what I'm gonna do. Okay, pay attention to what I'm gonna do. Now we know how it can happen, and now we know the name. It's a designated sales associate. It's not a name to remember. You're going to understand why is it called designated sales associate. Now, I'm gonna get Joseph that works. Remember, you all work for me in the same company. Joseph is my sales associate. I'm gonna get Joseph, and I will designated sales associate. I'm going to designate Joseph to work with the seller. Okay, Joseph, you are gonna work with the seller, and I'm gonna get Gabriela, and I'm gonna tell Gabriela, I'm gonna designate you to work with the buyer, but you guys cannot talk to each other. Remember, because Joseph I own the seller, and so is you. Confidentiality and loyalty. Gabriela, you know that I own the seller, and so does you. Confidentiality and loyalty. So you guys cannot talk to each other. Joseph, you're going to do the best you can to get the seller the best price possible. Gabriela, you're going to do the best you can to get the buyer the best price possible. But you can't talk to each other. If you need consultation, you come and talk to me. That's what designated sales associate means. Does that become clear now?
Yes.
Good?
Good.
But
Excellent.
There's a question.
Yes.
Suppose that they don't have the 1 million assets. It's a cheaper property.
Then we can.
You cannot do that anything.
No.
Okay.
Even if it's a cheaper property, if they still have the assets, it can happen. You know, the value of the property does not determine if designated sales associate is possible or not. Okay?
Okay. Okay. My question is, if it's not possible, then you can do nothing.
No.
He's gonna have to find another.
No.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Vamos
How
pro
to terminate?
recreio?
Yes. You're gonna say something, Alexandra?
Não, eu perguntei se está na hora do recreio.
Tá na hora do recreio, mas como esse é o último slide, nós vamos terminar o capítulo antes de ir pro recreio, tá legal? All right, how can we terminate a brokerage relationship? So I'm in a relationship, whatever it is, transaction broker, single agent, how do I terminate? Okay, by fulfillment, meaning if the seller hired me to sell his property, if I sold the property, no more relationship, right?
Right.
Mutual agreement to terminate. We both agree to terminate. Or the expiration. I sign an agreement to sell his house for 6 months, and 6 months goes by and I didn't sell the property and the agreement expired. It's also terminated. A broker renounces by giving a notice. Principal revokes relationship by also giving notice. Death of broker or principal, that also terminates the relationship. Destruction of the property. Florida, hurricane comes, destroy the property. There's nothing else to sell. End of relationship. And bankruptcy of principal or customer. We're good?
Good.
Great. We're done with chapter 4. We're gonna go to break. We'll come back at 8 o'clock, 8:30.
8:30?
Yes.
Okay.
If you are taking your break, don't need to tell me what you're doing. But if you think about any question, write it down and ask me as soon as we come back.
See you later.
See you later, guys. Okay, guys, welcome back. Almost everybody's back. Here's what we're gonna do. Open your books on page 95, 35, right?
Ahora?
See, 85. Open the book on page 85 and do the quiz, okay? The quiz for chapter 4. Got 10 minutes to do the quiz, okay? Alexandra, we're doing the quiz on page 83. Gabriela, we're doing the quiz on page 83.
To me, it's 85.
Okay. All right, we're done?
Yes.
Yes, good. So let's do it together, okay? Now, fresh one, a real estate broker company has entered into a single agent buyer broker relationship with a buyer. In order to show this property that is listed with the same brokerage company for which is in a single agent, what brokerage capacity made the company work with this buyer and seller?
B.
Which one?
B.
D.
D. Both seller and buyer must transition to transaction broker relationship before the buyer can be shown the seller's property. The brokerage relationship disclosure required in Chapter 475 apply to which one of those?
No clue.
B.
B.
Rafael, you said no?
No, I did not remember that.
All right, remember that the broker's disclosure, it's only for residential.
Okay.
Remember there was something that I said 10 times? Disclosure is only for residential. Then we look at A. A say 20 unit apartments. That's not residential because residential is 4 or less. Residential lease, no, because lease doesn't require a disclosure. And a business also no, because business doesn't require a disclosure. So it has to be a condominium unit. Which statement best describes the duty of loyalty in a single agent relationship?
A.
Joseph, did you get a book?
I got it, but it's in my office. It was mailed there. I got here today at like 8 o'clock.
All right. How about you, Gabriela? Did you get a book? Gabriela, I can't hear you. I still can't hear you.
No, it was supposed to come today, but it didn't come.
All right. So take a picture of the answers, both of you, so you can
I'm doing that.
transcript to your book.
Yep.
Good. A real estate broker who works in a limited capacity for both the buyer and the seller in the same transaction is what?
Transaction broker. B.
Transaction broker. Good. Did you take a picture? Or was I too fast? A license of ABC Realty must give the no brokerage relationship notice to whom?
C.
Which one?
C.
B?
C.
C, essa Cláudia.
Okay, Claudia. For a sell by owner, seller before showing the feasible home to a buyer customer of ABC Realty. A broker has listed a seller's property. The seller has disclosed to the broker that the ceramic tile is loose in the dining room because the cement did not adhere to the tile. The loose tile is not readily visible because it's covered by a rug to protect the seller's toddler. The broker has satisfied his legal obligation if he tells the buyer what?
B.
B. He must disclose any known facts that affect the value of the property, even if the seller doesn't want to.
Yeah.
A transaction broker has all the following duties, except
Obedience. D.
obedience. Transaction broker does not own obedience to his customers. A seller lists her home for $216,000. The seller tells the sales associate that she needs to get at least $212,000 for the home. After seller's open house, the sales associate received two offers on the home. The first offer for $216,000 is contingent on the seller financing a portion of the down payment. The second offer is $212,000 with the buyer secure her own financing. What should the sales associate do?
Present both offers. D.
Present both offers and let the seller decide. In the common public relationship that exists in a typical real estate transaction, buyer and seller are said to be dealing
B.
Arm's length.
Arm's length with each other.
arm's length with each other. If a principal gives the broker instructions that will result in loss or harm to the principal, what does the broker must do?
D. Should inform the principal of possible harm inherent in the instructions.
D.
Good. A broker obligation to consumers with whom the brokerage firm has no brokerage relationship included which duty?
Accounting for all
Accounting
funds.
for all funds.
Very good. Designated sales associate are best described as
A.
A. Good.
Mhm.
Which relationship is a general agency relationship? Let me tell you something about this general agency. There's basically three types of agencies. One is called general agency. Another one is called a special agency. And the other one is universal agency. Special agency is when you are hired to sell a property. You are hired to sell that specific property. So that's called the special agency. Universal agency is when you have a power of attorney, so you can do anything. And general agents is like the sales associate who works for the buyer. They are general agents because they can represent sellers, buyers, renters, landlord, right? So those are general agents. All right, now, once this has been explained, what will be the answer for question 13?
B.
B, the relationship between the employing broker and the broker associate. A broker associate is a general agent of the broker.
Universal agency is lawyer, right?
Power of attorney.
Power of attorney, okay. And the other is
Special agency.
special, universal, and general.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which action will terminate a single agent relationship with the principal who has listed a home for sale with the brokerage?
D as in destruction.
D.
Destruction of the property. The real estate broker and the broker associate are obligated to which duty in all three relationships?
Do honestly and fairly. C.
C. Good. Now we move to the next chapter.
Chapter 5.
Chapter 5. Just to remember, how many questions on chapter 5?
12.
12.
So what do
Big
you
one.
think? Is this an important chapter?
Of course.
Let's do it twice.
Let's do it twice. Yeah, this is a very important chapter because it has 12 questions. Now you need to understand why some questions has more questions than other chapters. It's because it's important for you, future sales associate, to understand that chapter. In this chapter here is about clarity. So when we talk about chapter 5 is about clarity. What does that mean? It means that you need to make it clear to the public who you are, who do you work for, where is your principal office. So all of those things are clarity, right? To make it clear to the public a few things. And that's what we're gonna see now, okay? That's why it's so important, because we cannot deceive the public by making them believe in something that it's not true, okay? So let's start with that. Now, a brokerage office.
Arlindo,
Yes.
what about the chapter 4 highlights?
Oh, thank you. Let's do the highlights for chapter 4.
Thank you to remember this.
No problem.
Okay. Page 65, and that goes to everybody. 65, lines 1, 2, and 3. Page 68, that also goes to everybody. 11 through 15. Page 69 also goes to everybody. 21 through 23.
Just a second, please.
Sorry?
Just a second. I'm highlighting the 68.
All right, we're on 69 now.
Yeah.
21 through 23. And 34 through 37. Page 71. Line 3 and 13, 14, and 15. Line 3, and then you jump all the way to 13, 14, and 15. All right, page 72, also to everybody. Line 20 all the way to 29. And also 31 through 42. Page 73, 16 through 23. Page 75, 13 through 16. Page 81, (7) through 27. Page 83, 1 through 4.
Can you repeat page 73 again, please?
(73) 16 through 23.
Thank you.
Okay. To understand what this is, let's understand how we register a corporation to be a real estate company. Okay? That's the only way for us to understand a lot of things that comes on this chapter 5. And this is also a common sense. So if you want to open a corporation, what do? What is the first thing that you have to do to open up a corporation? Who knows? You know,
Register the. Register.
you have to register the corporation with the state.
Mhm.
Okay? Everybody knows that? If you want to have a corporation, you need to register this corporation with the state. Now, let's say that I registered a corporation named ABC Realty. How did I type BCA when I said ABC? Now, I register with the state the corporation named ABC Realty. Can I be a real estate company now?
No, you need to register DBPR.
Okay, first thing, I need to have a broker because a real estate company cannot operate without a qualifying broker. And the third thing I must do is register the corporation with the DBPR. Now I can, oh, it's missing one thing, sorry. I need to have a physical location. Once I have the company registered with the state, once I have a broker, and once I have the physical location, now I can register the company with the DBPR, and now I'm ready to operate as a real estate company. If one of those things is missing, I can't be a real estate company. I cannot provide service of real estate to the public. We're good with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right, great. So I need a physical location. The physical location will be my principal office or main office. Let me save this. Okay, maybe I will be able to bring it back. What is the requirement for my office? Remember that my office is called principal office or main office. It has to be an enclosed room, like a stationary construction, and you need to have a privacy to conduct negotiations. The broker must keep the records in the office. Okay, you cannot keep the records in someplace else. You have to keep the records in the office. And for how long do I have to keep those records if it's in writing?
5 years.
And if it's oral or parole, for how long?
4 years.
4 years.
Now, the most important question is, who says that? Who determines that?
DBPR. FREC.
We've been that before, and the answer was all the same. This is a limitation of 5 years, right? They limited the time for 5 years. So who says that again? Statute of limitation. Very good. Now, if the zoning allows, the office may be in broker's residence. Okay? But you still need a privacy to conduct negotiations, which means that it cannot be in your dining room. It has to be a place in your house that is designated only to conduct real estate business. And when you're not conducting real estate business, you cannot use for your family. Okay?
Okay.
We can have office in different states if the broker agrees to cooperate with investigations. We must keep all records for 5 years. Who says that again? FREC or DBPR?
Status of limitation.
Statute of limitation. Okay. The sales associate may not open and register an office on their own. Okay.
Okay.
Remember that this is about clarity. If the sales associate can open an office, if you receive a buyer or a seller in your office is that clear to the buyer or the seller that that is not the brokerage office and you are not the broker? Is that clear for the buyer or the seller? Yes or no?
No.
No, because you are a sales associate. You cannot have your own office and receive buyers and sellers in your office, because then it's not going to be clear for them that you're not the broker,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Principal office or main office where business are conducted. If you decided to move your principal office or main office to a different location, you have to file a change of address form, and the registration that you have is transferred. Okay, you can transfer the registration. And that's one thing that I want you guys to understand, because there's a difference between principal office and branch office. So let's put it in an example. I open up an office here in Sunny Isles. And 1 year later, I decided that it's not the best location for my business. And I decided to move my principal office to Hollandale. Can I transfer the registration? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, because I'm transferring the registration of my principal office, and the registration of principal offices is transferable. We good?
Yes.
All right. What is a branch office? Branch office, the name says it all. It's another office that I decide to open under the same company. I will have one office, which is my main office in Sunny Isles, and I will open another office in Hollandale. My main office is in Sunny Isles, and in Hollandale, I have a branch office. Understand the difference?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yep.
Okay, so the difference between the branch office and the main office is that the registration on a branch office is not transferable. The registration for principal office is transferable, but the registration for the branch office is not transferable. So any office that the brokers open, he needs to register that office with the BPR. And one office he's going to register as his main office, and the other office is going to register as his branch office. That registration can be transferable or not, depends on which office he's transferring. Okay? Now, let's give an example. A registration for a branch office is good for 2 years. Okay? I open a branch office in Hollandale. And then a year later, I decided to move to Hollywood. My branch office is not going to be in Hollandale anymore. It's going to be in Hollywood. Can I transfer the registration from my branch office in Hollandale to my new branch office in Hollywood?
No.
No. Good. Now, let's give another example. I open my office in Hollandale, and a year later, I decide to close. Okay, so I close. I don't have to do anything. I just close the office. I didn't cancel the registration, just close the office. But 3 months later, I still have the lease agreement with me. I decide to reopen the office. Because the registration is good for 2 years, I don't have to do anything. I just reopen the office because the registration is good for 2 years and has only been 1 year and 3 months. Understand that?
Uh-huh.
All right, good. He may reopen the original location with no further action if the registration has not expired, because the registration for the branch office is good for 2 years. Now, temporary shelter. A temporary shelter, the name says it all. It's a temporary location. It's not a main office. It's not a branch office. It's just a temporary location. Give an example. Let's say I'm the broker and I got a agreement with Lennar, who is building a community in Weston. And I became the exclusive broker. So I decided to open temporary shelter in Lennar's place where they're going to build it. Do I need to register my temporary shelter with the BPR?
No, because it's temporary.
Very good. No, because it's temporary. Okay. So another thing that about the temporary shelter is that I cannot advertise in that location. And it's clear to understand why I cannot advertise that location. For the same reason, it's temporary. Someday I'm not going to be there anymore. So I cannot advertising the location of a temporary shelter. Okay?
Okay.
Now, every single office must have a sign. Okay? Do I need a sign on the temporary shelter?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No?
No.
No, because it is temporary. It's not my office. It's just a shelter.
There, no, even it's needed for.
I
like
need it for
everybody
the
knows.
principal office and for the branch offices. Okay? But not for a temporary shelter. We good?
Yes.
Okay, great. So every single office must have a sign. That sign must contain 3 important information. It's required by law. Number 1 information is the name of the brokerage, ABC Realty. The second information is the broker's name, Arlindo Machado. And the third information is the words licensed real estate broker. Those are required by law. You might find a question that says all of these are required by law to be on a sign, except, and let's say they say the brokerage name, the broker's name, the size of the sign, and the words licensed real estate broker. Which one is not required by law to be on a sign? Nobody?
Can you repeat,
The
please?
size, right?
The size. Very good. Size is not required to be on a sign. Okay, you see here your company name, the broker's name, and the word licensed real estate broker. Those 3 are the only one required. Anything besides that, it's not required, and that will be the except. Okay?
Okay.
The last part is not that I have to show that in my sign, is that I need to have a sign on those locations, right?
Yes, the size of the sign are not important.
No, I said the last bullet. All principal and branch offices is not that I have to display that on my signs, right?
You do. You do have to display the sign on all principal office and all branch offices.
Okay.
Just the shelter, you don't need a sign. But on a principal office, yes, and a branch office, yes.
Okay. It's not that your slide should say that I must display all the locations on the sign.
The
But I got it.
Yeah, the signs are important in all the locations. But I said it. All right. Now, this is an example of a sign. Okay? Little MO Realty LLC, Mark Gardner, and licensed real estate broker. Those are the three things required by law. Now, some agents, some real estate companies, the broker wants to list also the name of the sales associate and the broker's associate. Is it required by law?
No.
No, it's not. But
Option.
remember, the chapter 5 is about what again?
It's about the name of the
Clarity.
broker.
Clarity. Okay? Chapter 5 is about clarity. If the broker decides to list the name of the sales associate and the broker associate, they must make a separation from these three information that are required by law from the others. It could be just a space or could be a line. Okay? As long as it's clear to the public that Mark Garden is the broker and not the other people listed below.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Let me give an example here. Look, the same information as before, Little MO, Realty LLC, Mark Gardner, licensed real estate broker, and then you see the space between licensed broker and Jonas Smith. You see that?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's how it has to be done. And it could also be a line to separate what is required by law that makes clear to the public that Mark Gardner is the broker and the people below that are not the brokers. Okay? Let me go back 2 slides here to see if I missed anything. All right, it's okay. Everything is set. Okay, advertising. Now, are we gonna make advertisements? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. I have many people that calls me about the school and they want to talk about the career of real estate. And they ask me, is it easy to make money? Can I be successful in real estate? Can I really take off in this career? Do you think this is an easy question to answer?
No.
Now, all right, let's change the field. I ask you the same question, but with a different field. I'm going to open a computer repair shop. If I open a computer repair shop, is it easy to make money?
Not at all.
Can I become successful with that store?
Maybe yes, maybe not.
Yeah, what is the key to success? I'm not talking
Advertising.
I'm not talking about real estate. I'm talking about general. What is the key of success?
Advertising.
Advertising. I tell my students that they are going to become an agent because that's in general who we are. We are agents, but we are not secret agents. You cannot keep it quiet. Oh, don't tell anybody that I'm an agent. Huh? You're not secret agent. You are a agent and you got to tell everybody.
Everyone you know.
Everybody you know and everybody you don't know. Okay, because soon you're gonna run out of people that you know and you're gonna stop making money. I got 2 situations just to use as an example. I had one agent that came to work for me. And the reason why he made that decision, it was because 2 months before, his uncle sold his apartment for $2.5 million. And did not list with him because his uncle didn't know he was an agent. So this is an example of secret agent. He didn't even tell his uncle. So we gotta tell everybody. I had one graduation. There was before the pandemic. we got a graduation, and that day at night was one of my students' birthday, and she invited me to go to her birthday party, and I did. So when I get there, I was, she introduced me to everybody. Oh, this is my teacher, this and that, and then I started getting conversation with some people. And one girl came to me and said, well, this is good for Sandra. Let's say that the name of the person is Sandra. This is good for Sandra because Sandra knows a lot of people. I don't know anybody. Do you think this is a good excuse?
No.
No.
I tell you what I told her. How many friends or how many people do you think Sandra knows? 300. All right, 300. Let's say she makes a phone call, 10 phone calls every day. In 30 days, she's going to reach out all the 300 people that she knows. Right?
Right.
31st day, she's going to be in the same position that you are right now. She doesn't know anybody else to talk.
Yeah.
What do you think she's going to have to do? Even if you know 1,000 people, you don't know if these 1,000 people is going to buy a house. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe 10% we buy and then you make 10 transactions. But what about after that? Can you retire after 10 transactions?
No.
No. You need to talk to everybody, everybody. Your business card has to be the extension of your hands. I tell my agents that they need to talk to 10 people every day, 10 new people every day in order to build your clientele, right? And you can talk to people, you can advertise on Facebook, social media, you can do so many things to attract the buyers and sellers. So going back to our subject, it's obvious that we're going to advertising. So do you think there is a rule for advertising or we can do anything we want?
There is rules.
Got some rules, I suppose.
Yeah, there are rules for advertising. The rule number one, remember that this is about clarity. I'm going to repeat that many times so you guys understand why chapter 5 has 12 questions, the importance of chapter 12, and mostly for your career, more than for your test. Now, the first thing that is the most important thing is that on your advertise must contain your brokerage firm, the company that you work for. If you work for ABC Realty, you must include ABC Realty in your advertising. What type of advertising?
Mail.
Any.
And advertise.
Any. Is a business card a form of advertising?
Yes.
Then you have to have the company name on the advertising. If you decide to create some coffee mugs to give it away, do you must put the name of your company on the coffee mugs?
Yes.
Guys, if you don't know what coffee mug is xícara de café. How about letterheads? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Can you create your own website for yourself? Yes or no?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you can have your own website. And I recommend you guys to either use a very inspired name or use your own name. Don't use the mirror of website for the company that you work for. Don't use the domain at least. Why do I say that? Because you are working for this company, you're happy with this company, but someday you may not be happy with this company anymore. And you decide to leave the company and you cannot take the domain with you.
Oh, yeah.
All the people that already market your page as a favorite, when they click back on that link, your previous company will get the lead, not you. So create a nice domain for yourself and use that domain because they will always go back to you because you own the domain. So Yes, you can have a website, but what is the most important information that you must have in your website? To comply
Brokerage
with
Broker
company.
address, name.
the brokerage name, okay? To comply with the law, you must have included your company name. Now, are you gonna put your name on the advertise? Yes or no?
Yes.
Of course you are. You want people to call you and address you by your name. Hey, Alexandra, how are you? I saw your advertising. You don't want to
Yeah.
put only your phone number and don't have your name there, right?
Yeah.
Now, an example. There is a guy that his name is Robert Smith, but everybody knows he's by Bob. If he advertised by Robert Smith, people won't know that it's him. So he wants to advertise as Bob Smith. Can he do that?
Yes, he can.
Why?
No.
Because he can put his name and known as Bob.
No, but he's not going to put Robert Stone as Bob. He's going to put Bob Smith. Can he do that?
No.
Yes, he can.
Why?
Because he's known as Bob, not as our Robert.
No, but his name is Robert. All right, let me give you the explanation, okay?
I would put both.
The law says that your last name must be included in your advertising. Now, I'm going to rewind a little bit. Your name is not required by law to be on the advertising. Good? I'm going to repeat that. Your name is not required by law to be on the advertising. But, of course, you're going to put your name. So if you are going to put your name, you must use the last name that you have registered with FREC. Okay? So that's why the yes, the explanation for the yes, he can, is because he's using his last name. His nickname could be something very strange. Bob is something common, but could be something very strange. And he can still use it as long as he's included his last name. Okay? First name is not important. Last name is important and required by law if you're going to use your name. We good?
Good.
All right, let's continue with that then. All right. Broker is responsible for all advertising. But can the broker really review all the advertisings? Now, you think about a company that has 200 agents. They are all advertising. Do you think he has time to review?
No.
Now, you see the responsibility of a broker? Because if they make advertising that it's not according to the law, then the broker is in trouble because he's responsible. Now, any type of advertising must include the brokerage firm. Now, if you don't, you're not complying with the law. It's illegal. And the name is blind advertising. Okay? Write it down. If you make an advertise and you don't include the company name, it's called what again?
Blind advertising.
Blind advertising. Good. Now, it's very common today, even in the past, that people create a team to work together. There are some teams that they already been created and it's very known. Like here in Miami, there is I think it's two sisters and the team is called the Jills.
The Jills.
The Jills. Yeah.
The infamous Jills.
Yeah, the Jills. It's a team name. It's okay. It's not a problem. Let's say you guys go well along and you want to become successful. And I always believe in partnership. I don't believe in competition because the results of a competition is zero commission or a possibility of a zero commission. When we have a partnership, you have a possibility of some commission, right? So it's better to partnership than to compete. And when you have more than one people working with you, it's like one is motivating the other and you guys can do more than one thing and achieve and reach more areas, more clients, and then at the end, you guys share the commission. That's what the Juice does. So, and they create a team that works under them, and they are not a real estate company. They work for Century 21. So when they advertising, do you think they're advertising the Juice? And don't put Century 21?
Oh, they put Century 21.
Yes, they must put Century 21, and in some places inside the advertise, then they can put the team name, the Juice. It's fine, no problem. That's what the rule says about advertising a team. You must also include the name of the company, and you can also put the name of your team. But in bigger letters, will be bigger than the team name, will be the name of the company. Okay? Blind advertising is illegal, and is any type of advertising that does not contain the name of the company. Now, let's give an example here. XYZ Realty runs the following ad. 4-bedroom, 2-bath, located on Sunny Isles, only $890,000. Call 555-1212. Is this advertising correct?
No.
What do we have to do to make it legal?
Broker,
Surname of the
real estate.
sales associate.
Nope. The name of the company.
Name of the company.
Yes, because this is a blind advertising. Because the name of the company is not in the advertising, so this is an illegal advertising.
Okay.
The company is not there. What do we have to do to make it legal? Include the name of the company. Okay? Good. Name of the sales associate, I already told you, you don't have to use your name, but if you do, you must include the last name as you have it registered. In your license, shows your last name. Now, XYZ runs the following ad. Then you tell me if this is correct or not. 4-bedroom, 2-bath, located in Sunny Isle, 850. Call XYZ Realty 555-1212 and ask for John. Is this okay?
Yes.
No.
Rafael.
No.
It's not correct, Rafael.
Because there is no surname of John.
Yeah, the last name, right?
Yes, to make it legal, you put the last name of John. Okay, so do not let you be fooled by a question, because I've seen one student that there was a question similar to that one, and he picked the first answer because the first answer was correct, but the answer B was more correct than the first one, because the first one was say you must include the company name, and that should mark it as a correct answer. But the second one says you must include the company name and the agent's last name if you're going to include the name of the agent. So that one is the most correct answer.
Well, unless his last name is John.
Unless the last name is John, yes.
That's subjective, yeah.
Call Mr. John.
Mr. John, yeah. For clarity, yeah.
Yeah, for clarity, because chapter 5 is about clarity. All right, there's two types of advertising. Institutional.
Okay, just one question. It's okay if I put no names at all, just the company name?
Yes, it's okay. Right? As I said before, the sales associate name is not required by law.
Yeah.
But if you're going to use your name, you must include the last
name. That was the previous example, yeah?
Yes. Okay. Now, institutional advertising is an advertising that is promoting the company. Let's say, work with Remax that's been in business for 50 years. We have 100, we've been present in 100 different countries with more than 100,000 agents. This is an institutional advertising. And specific advertising is when you are advertising a product. Buy this house with on the lake, with the pool, 2-bedroom for $500,000. This is a specific advertising. You understand the difference between specific and institutional?
Yes.
Good. Now, false advertising. False advertising is considered to be a second-degree misdemeanor. And the second-degree misdemeanor, the penalty for second-degree misdemeanor is up to 60 days in jail and or $500 fine. Okay? So you must be aware of the advertising you are making, not to lead people to a wrong information. You might be advertising a property that you already sold just to attract the buyers so you can show them other properties. You know that some dealers, they do that, right? They advertise a car that they don't have it in the stock just to make you call them.
Yeah.
Right? Just to make you call them. When you call them, they say, oh, but this car was just sold, but I have another one in the stock that you're going to love it. So this is a false advertising, right? We need to be aware of this. Let me tell you another thing. It's very common that when you start your career, you use somebody else's listing to advertise the listing to attract the buyers or renters. Because you don't have any list, you're just starting the business. So how are you going to promote yourself? You can promote yourself by advertising somebody else's listings. Of course, you need the permission from the listing agent, okay? But in my company, this is what I do in my company. Remember, who owns all the listings in my company?
The brokerage.
I do, right? So I tell everybody, guys, if you want to advertise it, you can. So you already have my permission to advertise any listing in the company. So we have sales listing for properties that are listed for sale and listed for properties that are listed for rent. So I had this guy working for us, and he took all the listings for rent. He created an account on Craigslist, and he listed all the properties. Is it okay?
No.
He listed it as apartment available, call for broker, or?
Call himself. Yeah, it's okay. I gave him permission to advertise in the listing. So it's okay. As long as he can keep the name of the company, and if he's going to use his name, he uses his last name. It's okay because I already gave him the permission.
Gotcha.
So there's nothing wrong. There's no false advertising, nothing like that. But a month later, he just logged into his Craigslist account and he posted all 50 ads that he had posted a month before. They just went to Craigslist and reposted all of them. So what could be wrong about that? And would that representing a false advertising or not? Think with me. So we're learning a subject and we learn something for life as well, because you guys are going to do that. And I don't want you to make the same mistake that he did. Of course, nobody found out. But
some might not be available.
That's right. Within 30 days, some of those property may be already rented. And he's listing the property as if it was available to rent. Okay? So this is a false advertising. And he could be charged with second-degree misdemeanor. And the penalty for second-degree misdemeanor is what again?
2 months jail.
Up to 60 days in jail and or up to $500 fine. Okay? Internet advertising applies the same. You know, they just put it in here so we guys remember that. If you're going to make any advertising on Facebook, on Instagram, it doesn't change the rules. The rules are the same, right? You still must use the company name, and if you're going to put your name, you have to put your last name. So it doesn't change the fact that it's internet, that you are going to be excused from not putting the name of the company. Now, the licensee selling property by owner. Now, remember, chapter 5 is about, again?
Clarity.
Now, let's say I am going to sell my property, and I'm a broker, and I don't want to list the property. I want to sell by owner. I would never do that. But just for the sake of the example, I am advertising the property for myself as for sale by owner. Now, I must disclose that I am licensed, a real estate license. Okay? I don't have to disclose it on my advertising. I don't have to disclose on the sign in front of my house, but I must disclose, and the best way to do it is on the purchase and sales contract, where I'm gonna put that I am licensed. Do you have any idea why?
Because you have more knowledge.
Thank you very much, because I have more knowledge. Who watched the movie called Con Air with Nicolas Cage?
Conan? No, I didn't.
Or if you didn't, you can watch it. It's a very good movie. Con Air. The movie starts with the guy, which is Nicolas Cage, coming back from Afghanistan. I don't know where he was. And he was black belt in many different martial arts. He went to a bar to meet his fiancée. And when he walked into a bar, there was three guys that was messing with her, and then he came and said, "Hey, come on, leave her alone." Nothing bad happened. He just said that. When he walked away from the bar, the three guys was waiting for him outside with a baseball bat. So the end of the story is that he broke them. He broke the bats, he broke their legs, he broke their arms, and they sued him, and he lost. Well, I don't know if that would happen in real life, but the reason why he lost is because they were able to prove that he was a weapon, he was well trained, and the other three guys were not. So meaning he has a knowledge for this type of fight, while the other three guys didn't have. He should disclose to them, "Look, guys, I'm a black belt. You really want to mess with me?" So he didn't disclose that and put it in writing, right? So you protect yourself. That's what it is. You don't want the buyer to come after closing and say, "You know what, Arlindo took advantage of me because he's a broker. He has all the knowledge of real estate transaction, and he didn't tell me that he was a broker. So he took advantage of me." And if I don't have a way to prove that I disclosed that fact with him, I could be in trouble. Even if you cannot prove that I made a mistake, that I did something wrong, or I did something illegal, I can still be in trouble just because I did not make that disclosure. We good?
Mm-hmm.
Joseph, are you okay?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
All right. Now, let's talk about escrow account. Okay. Remember when we were talking yesterday about the deposit, and that the deposit has different names. It could be a good faith deposit, could be a escrow deposit, could be a earnest money, okay? Could be any of those things. And it's not required by law. That's what I want you guys to understand. It's not required by law. And what is this deposit? Just remind you guys about what I already said. Let's say I'm representing Gabriela. Gabriela is the buyer, and I'm representing Gabriela. And Gabriela told me, "Arlindo, I like this property. I want to put an offer for $500,000. Okay, I'm going to prepare the contract, and I'm going to take it to Gabriela to sign. I'm going to try to get deposit from Gabriela. And there's a reason why I do that. Reason number one is to make Gabriela's offer stronger. For the same reason I explained to you the other day why we have, when we sit down at a poker table, we have to show the money, right? So I'm going to try to collect a deposit from Gabriela to make her offer stronger. So Gabriela is going to give me a check of $50,000. I must give the check to the broker. Remember that?
Uh-huh.
How many days do I have to give the check to the broker?
1 business day?
3 days. Yeah, next business day.
And how many days that the broker has to deposit?
3 days.
3 days, including
Yes.
my day, right?
Include, yeah.
Now, where is the broker going to deposit that money?
Scroll account.
In an escrow account. So the broker must open a separate account, a separate banking account, just for the escrow money, just for the deposits. Okay? So every time that an agent come to the broker with a check of $50,000, $25,000, whatever it is, as deposit, the broker must deposit that money into the escrow account.
Uh-huh.
Okay? And that money is going to be there until the day of closing. The day of closing, then the broker must transfer that amount to the title company, so then the buyer can close the deal. A deposit could be a cash or anything that can be converted into cash, into money. Okay? So
Okay.
that's what a escrow account is. Now, there's some rules for the escrow account, and we're going to look into all of those rules. Rule number 1 is there must be in a bank in Florida. It cannot be in a different state. It must be in Florida. And it could be in a commercial bank, in a credit union, in a savings association, or in a title company. Okay?
Okay.
You can make that deposit in one of those institutions, organizations, okay? Florida, all of them must be in Florida. That's the first rule, okay? Florida. Second rule, has to be either in a commercial, credit union, savings association, or a Florida-based title company. The immediate deposit, we already know. We already been through this. It's a 1 day for the sales associates to give to the broker, and the broker has 3 days to deposit, including the first one. Now, first question to you guys. I went to Gabriella's house for her to sign the agreement, and the Gabriella wants to give me a post-dated check. So today is the 8th of October, and she gave me a check for the 15th. Can I take that check?
No, because you can't deposit it or make good with it within the time period.
Okay, the right answer is yes, if. Okay, I must get a authorization from the seller. And this is what I need you guys to understand. Let's say that, why does the seller must agree to that? Let's say that she gave me a $50,000. This is $50,000. And this is why you don't see it. Okay, this is $50,000. Okay? Once I get that $50,000 and I give that $50,000 to the broker, and the broker deposits on the escrow account, who does this money belong to? Who is the legal owner of this money? Remember, the buyer gave it to me. Gabriella gave this money to me. This was deposited into the escrow account of the broker. Who does the money legally belong to?
The seller.
What do you think? I wanted someone else to say something.
To Gabriella.
The buyer, right? So we got 2 opinions, one for the buyer and the one for the seller. Now, actually, now that the money is being deposited in escrow account, this money belongs to the buyer and the seller. It doesn't belong to one person anymore. It belongs to both parties, buyer and the seller. That's why the seller must agree to accept a post-dated check. Okay? Once the seller accepted, he gives him the authorization to receive the check, What do I have to do with this check?
To deposit it in the escrow account.
Nope, because it's a post-dated check. I must give to the broker within one
To the
business
broker.
day. And the broker is going to hold that check until the date that says on the check. Okay? The broker is going to hold that money, that check, not the money, the check, until the day that says on the check. Okay? Now, let's say that we're going to go back to the post-dated check. Let's say that Gabriela made a mistake and she wrote the check on my name. She was supposed to write the check in the name of the company.
I'm in the class.
Alexa,
Because I'm sorry. It's my daughter.
All right. Now, the Gabriela wrote a check, and instead of putting the name of my company, ABC Realty, she made a mistake and put on my name, Arlindo Machado. And I told her, look, you cannot give me a check on my name. Remember, we cannot receive any money from anybody. Okay? So then I tell her, Gabriela, please write me another check. And then Gabriela says, well, Arlindo, unfortunately, that was my last check. Okay? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to endorse the check on the back, and I'm going to write to be deposited only at ABC Realty escrow account. Understand that? Number one, the check cannot be written under the name of the sales associate. But if by mistake it was done and they cannot write another check, then the sales associate will sign in the back of the check, endorse, and then write to be deposited only on ABC Realty escrow account. We good? Take a picture of the check and give to the broker before the end of the next business day. The post-dated check is what I was explaining you guys. Now, the broker is responsible to deposit the check on the 15th, because that's what she told me. Hold the check until the 15th. If the broker deposits the check on the 15th and the check bounces, is the broker responsible for this check?
No.
No. If the broker deposits on the 16th because he forgot to put it on the 15th, he put it on the 16th, and the check bounced, is he responsible for the check? Yes or no?
I think yes.
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 He becomes responsible for the check because he did not deposit the check on the date. He deposited the day after, and then the check bounced. Now, if Gabriela does not honor that amount, that check, the broker can be held responsible for the amount, $50,000. Okay?
Okay.
The broker must be the signature on the escrow account. If the broker decided to have an escrow account, he must be the signatory. He must be the one who signs all the checks for the escrow account. Now, he needs also, required by law, to do a reconciliation. Now, tell me honestly, who doesn't know what reconciliation is? If you don't, I'm not going to explain. I'm going to move on. So you all know?
Reconciliation. Reconciliação.
Yeah, but you know what it is. Everybody knows what it is. Gabriel, no, right?
Can you say what it is?
Yes, that's what I'm asking, guys. Please answer, participate. I'm getting tired to ask you the same thing 3 times because you don't help me out. Am I helping you? Yes or no?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Am I trying to make this subject easy? Yes or no?
Yes.
Why
Yes.
you don't help me? Every time I ask a question, everybody's...
Okay, ask again. Ask again.
I got
Last time.
lost. Now I don't even know what the question was.
Reconciliation.
Yes,
I don't know.
reconciliation
I
was
don't know.
simple. Do you guys know what reconciliation is? If you don't, I will not explain. I'll move on. Hey, I don't know. I don't know. Wait.
I don't know reconciliation. Can you
All right.
explain, please?
Good.
Never heard of that.
Good. Yeah, man. Let's wake up. Do I sound tired? Do I look tired? To you?
Yes.
Not at all.
Not at
Really?
all. Not at all. I have energy to go all the way to midnight. Okay. Reconciliation is this. I have my checkbook. Companies, they don't use checkbooks. They use QuickBooks. Have you heard about QuickBooks? It's an application on your computer where you control all your banking account activities, right? It's the same thing as a checkbook. When you write a check, then you put on a checkbook the check number and the amount. When you make a deposit, then you put on the checkbook the date of the deposit and the amount, right?
Right.
So you have your control, your in-house control could be a QuickBooks. Then at the beginning of the month, the bank sends you a bank statement. We are okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bank sends you a bank statement. When you look into your QuickBook or your books, where you control your banking activities, there is an ending balance for September. September 30th, the ending balance is $52,000. When you receive the statement for September, do you believe that the ending balance on your bank statement will match your ending balance on your books?
Almost never.
Never. Very good. Never. Why never? Because I may wrote a check on the last day of September, but I put it on my book. September 30th, I wrote a check of $5,000 and I deduct from my balance. But that check was not deposited in December. The check was, in September. The check was deposited in October. So meaning that check is not gonna show on my bank statement of September. So the balance never matches. Also because on the statement, the bank statement of October is going to show the administrative fee, maintenance fee, all the fees that the bank charge you for the month. That is not on your checkbook, on your QuickBooks. So reconciliation is make adjustments on your books to match the balance. Now we know what reconciliation is.
Okay.
Good. Now, he must do a reconciliation every month. That doesn't mean that he must do himself. He can have a CPA. Okay? You guys know what CPA is or bookkeeping? CPA is a
CPA is accounting.
Certified accountant.
Yes, or a bookkeeping. That will do the reconciliation for him, but he's required to sign. Why is that? Because if there is anything wrong and he's being inspected by any inspector from the BPR, that they can come and inspect your escrow account. That's why I decided not to have an escrow account in my company. I don't want that type of responsibility because escrow account does not make me money. On the contrary, I have to pay banks fees every month to maintain an escrow account that doesn't make me any money. I use the title company and all my agents bring the checks or all the deposits to the title company, and I don't have to have an escrow account. Okay, because it's a lot of a responsibility. Now, if the inspector from the BPR come to inspect my company and they look into the books and they see there's a mistake on the book, on the reconciliation, I cannot tell him, oh, I'm very sorry, I didn't do that. My CPA did it, or my bookkeeping did it. He can't say that because he must What is that?
Write down, sign.
Sign, yeah. How hard it is to make you guys say something.
Sign.
Yeah, but how many times I did this and nobody said anything? It's hard to make you guys say anything.
Você tem que dar reguada, reguada na mão.
If I don't ask you questions, you know what? It's not going to be productive. Right?
I know.
But if you like it, I can stop making questions.
No, no. If we stop making questions, we are going to sleep.
All right. So I don't make you sleep. So that's what a reconciliation is. All the escrow accounts must be reconciled every month.
Okay.
Now, that escrow account, question, that escrow account could be in an interest-bearing account. Who doesn't know what is interest-bearing account?
I don't.
Thank you, Rafael. Interest-bearing account is an
Like
account.
like some sort of investment.
It's like an account that will pay you interest.
Okay.
Okay, that's what an interest-bearing account is. Now, I'm the broker. Okay, I'm gonna open an escrow account. Can I open the escrow account in an interest-bearing account? Yeah,
Yes.
I can.
Yes, if.
Okay, but we must agree who's gonna keep the interest. Could
Yeah.
be me, as long as the buyer and the sellers agree to that.
Okay.
Okay, it could be the buyer, it could be the seller, it could be both. But we must make an agreement on who is going to keep the interest. Okay.
In the contract, right? The agreement in the contract.
When we receive the check, then we make an agreement. Not in the contract. It's a separate agreement.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to deposit your check on an interest-bearing account. Do you agree that I will keep the interest? Yes. Everybody signs, then I keep the interest.
Okay.
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 Now, let's understand this. This is very simple and also only a new word that we need to learn. Okay. But the concept of that word is easy to understand. The only thing new is the word. Now, let's say I have $200,000 in the escrow account from different buyers. You know, one gave me 20,000, another one gave me 50,000, another one gave me 35,000. So altogether, with all the escrow money that I have in my banking account, I have $200,000. But on my operation account, I only have $10,000. That is my money, okay? Now, remember that the responsibility of the escrow account or the escrow company is to hold the money in trust. That's all they can do. Hold the money in trust. Now, on my operation account, I have $10,000. And today, I have to pay my rent, which is 15. So I look at my escrow account and I see that I have $200,000 there. And I see that I have a closing happening tomorrow that I'm gonna make $10,000. So then I make a decision. You know what? I'm gonna take $5,000 from the escrow account, put it on my operation account, pay my rent, and then tomorrow I'm gonna make $10,000. Then I take $5,000 and I put it back on the escrow. Can I do that?
No.
No, it's illegal, and that comes the name, commingling. Okay? You all understand that I cannot touch the escrow money because that is not my money. I'm just holding in trust. Let's say, yes.
The Brazilians who were alive in 1989 know that, right?
1989?
Yeah.
Why?
When we had the Plano Collor.
Oh, yes, right. Yeah, they were supposed to hold the money in escrow, right?
Yeah.
In trust, and they took all the money. Yeah, that's basically what it is.
The overnight sensation.
That's right. And luckily, I was already here. I came here in 1989, exactly the same year.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right. So the escrow, no, going back to this explanation is this. It's easy to understand that once my responsibility as an escrow agent is only to hold the money in trust, I cannot touch. I'm not teaching you anything new, right? If I'm holding in trust, I cannot touch the money. The only thing new that I am teaching you is the name of this action. We already know that this action is illegal, but that illegal activity has a name, and the name is commingling.
Commingling.
Oh, I'm sorry, conversion.
Conversion.
Conversion, okay? Conversion. Now let me tell you what commingling is. Did you write down? Conversion is when you use the escrow money.
Conversion.
And this is illegal, right?
It is illegal. It's called conversion and is illegal. The only thing new is the name, conversion.
When you use that
Inappropriate
for money.
money from escrow. Okay, now, when I open an escrow account, the bank is going to charge me a fees every month. Isn't that right?
Mm-hmm.
2 seconds.
Joseph, if I lay down like you, I will sleep deeply. And it's not,
All right,
I need to be seated.
I went to get some water. All right. Now, if I open an account in a bank, they're going to charge me fees. Every month, they're going to charge me fees. Can I open the account with zero money and only put the escrow money there?
No.
The reason is because at the end of the month, when the bank charges me $30 for fees, that $30 will come from the escrow money, which is not my money. That's going to be a conversion.
Yeah.
So I have to put my money there. That's why I told you the escrow money, besides the responsibilities, it's also a fee that you're going to have to pay for, expenses. So I have to put some money there. And that money that I put there is only to cover the bank's fees. We good?
Uh-huh.
Now, there's a maximum amount of money that I can deposit there, which is $1,000 for sales. Okay? If I open up a escrow account to conduct the sales, the maximum amount of money that I can put it there is $1,000. And it's okay to keep $1,000 from my money in the escrow account. But if I put more than $1,000, now it's called commingling.
Commingling
is when I mix the money, my money with the escrow money with an amount more than $1,000. Okay?
So this $1,000 is supposed to pay just the fees of the bank.
It's just to keep it there for whatever fees it is. Yeah, I'm not gonna basically use that money.
Okay.
I can redeposit, but when I redeposit, my money can be up only to $1,000. So meaning, let's say that so far I already used $200 from my money to pay fees from 10 months. Can I deposit 300?
Yeah, because the maximum is 1,000.
Yeah, but remember, I already had 1,000. I used 200.
Ah,
If I deposit 300, now I have 1,100.
No, you can't.
Good. Now you understand that.
Yeah.
So what is the maximum? 1,000 for sales. Why am I specifying for sales? Because if it's for property management, okay, the maximum is 5,000. The rules applies the same. You open up an escrow account, and you cannot use the money because if you use, it's going to be conversion, and conversion is illegal. But the maximum will be $5,000 for property management. Okay.
Is the property manager,
Yeah,
the
it's
courses
right here on
are
the screen.
more expensive.
You're right here on the screen.
Hello?
Okay.
Okay.
We're good.
Yeah, the important to do your course is because we start to understand the meanings and the spirit, the reasons why is the maximum, why is the minimum, why this, why that. This is the difference, because read a book everybody can read, but
Yeah.
you can make us understand these things that reading is not possible to understand.
No, no. That's why my idea to stretch the subject as much as possible and push you guys to participate is to make sure that you guys are understand. Because presenting a material, it's easy. Guys, I can present all those slides very fast. But without explanation, what am I? A robot just reading the book for you, and you still don't know anything. So that's why the idea is to make the subject clear. Okay. All right. We must keep all the records for 5 years. Who says that again?
Alindo,
Yes.
just a question. You can keep in the escrow account $1,000 in the max for pay fees and everything, right?
Yes.
And you can place there $5,000 for a management, right?
Yes, you can use it. If it's $5,000, you can use up to $5,000. If you have to make some maintenance, something, you can use $5,000.
So it's legal. It's legal if you put in this account $6,000.
No.
1,000 for
two accounts. Two accounts.
Oh, two accounts separate.
One for sales and one for property management. And I don't recommend you to use the escrow account to pay for maintenance. You should use your operation account to pay for maintenance and use your operation account for the landlord to pay your fees. All right? And leave the escrow account for the purpose, which is holding money. We good?
Uh-huh.
Now, we need to keep for 5 years. And who says that again? FREC or the BPR?
Statute of limited.
Yeah, you're not going to fall for that anymore, right? Statute of limitation. Now, we must keep for 5 years. Now, let's understand here real quickly what that means. Let me go back a little bit. Okay. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, let's read this paragraph together. Must preserve records for 5 years and 2 years beyond court proceedings. So how long do I have to keep it if there is a court?
5 years.
7, right? Could be 7, but not necessarily will be 7. It's 2 years after the court procedures. Let's say this is year number 1, right? We understand that. This is year number 1. Let me put it here. Number 1 is going to be very hard to write 1, 2, 3, and 4. But let's try. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops.
5.
And 5. Okay. Let's say that the court happens here. For how long should I keep this record?
4 years.
5, because the minimum is always 5.
Ah, 5. Okay.
5 years. So these 2 years is not going to be added to the 5 because the 2 years is within the 5.
Ah, okay.
If it happens here, for how long should I keep this 5?
5.
5.
5 years because the 2 years is still within the 5.
Yeah.
What happens if it happens here?
6.
It has to be 6.
Then I'm going to have to go to 6. What if it happens here?
7.
Then it's got to go to 7. You see, it could be 7, but not necessary. It's just add 5 to 2. Depends on in which year the court happened. And then beyond that point, you're going to have to hold for at least 2 years. If it's within the 5, nothing's going to be added to the 5. But if the 2 years is going to go beyond the 5, then it could be 6 or 7. Clear?
Okay. Clear.
You see, this is what I'm saying. I could just read this and, okay, you understand, you understand, you don't understand, you don't understand.
But your explanation is perfect. And because you have experience also, you know.
Yeah, but this is one thing, you know what? I love to teach. There's nothing that I love more than teach. I'm
Every
missing my
teacher
class.
makes for love.
Yeah. I miss my classes live. But it's okay because I can still see you guys and I can still push you to participate. All right, now our next, it's about the title company and information that you must provide about the escrow money if the title company is holding that amount. You want to know about it?
Yeah.
Then come back Monday and I will tell you everything about it.
Aren't we going until
So-
midnight today?
Huh?
This weekend, we have no class.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You have to read the highlights for chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Homework.
Guys,
We
remember,
have
say,
we have class Saturday, right?
no, we don't.
No?
No, only the last week.
Hi, thank you. I thought we were doing class Saturday.
No, you're off until Monday. No class
Until Monday?
tomorrow, no classes Friday or Saturday and Sunday.
Until Monday, 6:30 p.m.
Until Monday, 6:30. Now,
Okay.
I'm going to remind you one more thing. It happened last classes and happened in every class. I tell them at the beginning, guys, don't rest within these 30 days. It's only 30 days that you need to commit to this.
I
I'm
know.
committing myself to this to teach you as easy as possible. And your commitment is to learn on the days that you don't have classes. To
Yeah.
avoid the fact that on Sunday, the day of the test, you're going to say, oh man, I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. I should have studied. And I waste my time. Don't do that. We need the time to study. So don't take a day off. You have time to do your barbecue, drink your caipirinha, but take some hours from these 3 days to review the highlights.
I will. I promise.
Great. I'm counting on you guys. I want to have 0 fail in this class. 0.
0. Okay. We
All
promise.
Right? Great. Guys, good night. Have a great weekend. And I see you guys on Monday.
On Monday.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.
You all take care.
This video now.